Hey everyone, welcome back, and today we're going to take a look at the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer, Mutant Mayhem, and break it down frame by frame. Let's go.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
So the first thing that I notice in this shot is this amazing wide shot of New York City. You can see the lime boiling across all of the skyscrapers, and also if you look closely at the lights, there's some slight flickering. These kind of details really make a still shot like this come to life. I love it, it's amazing. This next shot is very similar, but you can see just over towards the background that has slightly less detail than the foreground. It's kind of a way of adding some depth of field in a 2D shot. Now this isn't 2D, all of it's made in 3D, but to give that 2D effect, this is how they go around it, and it looks really, really nice. There's a real clear sense of style with this trailer, and I can't wait for the film to come out because it's going to look absolutely amazing. You can see a similar sort of effect with the reflection of the lights in the water, and you can see there's some slight subtle light lines. Now this further emphasizes the style of this trailer, and it looks really, really cool. This next shot is really nice, so clean, so nice. Now this shot is really interesting. Now it may look like just a simple zoom, but if you look closely and go in frame by frame, they've added some really nice details what would otherwise be a plain and boring shot. If you look at the edges of the sewer cap, you can see the light shifting very subtly. Now it's a really nice effect just to get a nice movement of light across the scene, and it adds some really nice life to an otherwise boring shot. It's great how this piece of geometry just picks that up, even though it is non-photorealistic rendering. This brings us to the next shot of the turtles leaping out of the sewer. Now you can look, if you go through frame by frame, they're literally only on screen for maybe 1 or 2 frames, and that smear looks absolutely gorgeous. There's enough detail in them so you can see exactly what it is, but there's just enough left of the imagination just to fully blur it out of the shot. This next shot is great, whip pan straight up from the bottom left up to the top right. Just marries those two shots together. You need to think about this when you're creating your own shots, and it adds that really nice bit of fluidity. This next shot of Raph swinging his sword, look at that smear, so cool. And it goes down, watch his face, and it goes back up on the up pose and back down to a settle. Nice piece of animation there. Now it brings us to this shot of Mikey throwing the watermelon. Watch the anticipation. He's holding for quite a long time, and then throwing over 2 or 3 frames. Something you need to think about when you're animating. Obviously this is quite a heavy watermelon. The longer the anticipation is held, the more effort is required to throw that object. And look at that stretch. Nice. Camera follows the watermelon as Raph smashes it. Look at this smear this time, so much bigger. There's so much more energy in this shot. So great. And look at this reaction, so funny. Now this is a great shot because you can see some of the shots in the trailer, the way they've handled light is very different to anything I've seen before in any animated film. If you look closely, there's some slight line wobbling, and that gives the impression that they are watching something on screen. This is just another way of showing the viewer that something is going on screen and adding to that bit of movement in a static shot. Another example of this is the ninja star. Look at that lens flare. You can see it lights up the whole screen. It's not just a wipe across that prop. It's what could be considered a realistic lens flare. Really nice shot. And look at this staging. Mikey right in the middle, everything pointing towards him. He's so vulnerable. Look, you can see on the facial expression that he is scared. Really nice setup for this shot. This is another great character shot. You can see you've got Donnie and Leo both in the same shot, and just look at the expressions on them two. They're totally different. One's wide-eyed, the other one is crouched down, huddled in. So great at showing the different emotions. Perfect. Now this shot of throwing the ninja star, even though this motion happens over 1 frame, look, 1 frame, there's hardly any smear. If you look closely, there are some smear lines, but not that much. And to be honest, I think this might be a stylistic choice because you don't want to draw too much attention from the viewer, because the main focal point is that ninja star coming towards the camera. Now on the left of the screen you can see the great reactions by Donnie and Leo. Look, you can even see Donnie taking a slight step forwards and his eyes widening just a little bit. in stark contrast to Leo's movement. He even huddles himself up a little tighter. Look at those legs moving. Now this next shot's great. The camera does a slight tilt just to marry these two shots together. From the ninja star being slightly horizontal, the camera tilts and it goes to vertical, just further selling the shots together. This shot's great. Look at that smear for the background. So much energy in this shot. Now this shot from the reaction, it's so great. You can see all of their emotions. Raph is just not bothered at all, but all the others are so scared and shocked as to what's actually happened. Take a look at Leo's reaction. He's so concerned he actually runs towards the camera, but look at this, because he doesn't actually run straight towards the camera. He runs in a zigzag motion, first to the left, then to the right. It's an interesting choice. It's not the quickest way to move across the scene, but it does make it a lot more interesting to have a look at. This next shot is great. Look at the different emotions. It's so clear who's worried and who isn't. And watch this, the second Raph mentions pizza, Mikey's face lights up literally 2 frames later. Next one's Donnie. He's like, yeah, I could go for a pizza. And Leo is just absolutely not. We need to sort this out. These next shots are great. Look at those smears. And it's fully illuminated by that light in the background, further emphasizing the shot. This is great. Next shot, loads of smears. Nice. Again, light emphasizing those weapons so much. And look at this bit. Those effects are amazing. Similar sort of thing with the nunchucks. Look at the light. Donnie's face and Donnie's shower is hardly illuminated, and you just look at the hands and look at the weapon. Perfect. Those effects are so nice. Such a clear silhouette too. Now this side is great as well. Look at how it's lit. Perfect. Nice quick smear. And those effects. Now if you look at these 4 shots, you'll notice the camera does a slight zoom in. As we go down to Master Splinter, there's a zoom out. These shots perfectly drawing the audience in, and then boom, bringing them back out again with this nice animation. Look at this pose. Great line of action. Simple versus complex on the silhouette. Great piece of animation. Nice smear. Great impact frame. Now look at this. This happens over 1 frame. You can see the energy as he bursts through the door. Look at those lines on the right hand side. Look at that pose. Drawing the audience's eye into his face with those arms. It's such a great pose, and it's such a nice shot. Now this next shot is great. Look at the energy. Look at those smears as he's pulling the character right towards the camera. Nice line of action. You can see exactly where he's going. His eyes direct the viewer. His head leads the action, and everything else follows. Perfectly marrying into the next shot where the car is moving the exact same direction. And look at that smoke. This smoke is so cool. Now I've got a nice bit of camera shake on this next shot, further emphasizing the weight of this character. I'm guessing it's probably a villain, or probably at least someone that's a bit larger, a bit more overbearing for the turtles, and it's probably good that it matches up to the next shot where we've got these 2 massive rhinos. These shots are so cool. Now look at this multiple frame. Great. These characters are interesting because look how short the limbs are in comparison to the body. It could be quite hard to read the silhouette of this character, but the animator have really pushed these poses. You can see this anticipation frame, everything's squashed in. You can still clearly see the silhouette of the character, and then look at that, bam, all the limbs stretched out. Really nice silhouette. Brings us on to this next shot. And remember, bouncing balls everywhere. We've got squash, we've got stretch, and we've got squash down. Same with Raph, stretch, squash. Everything's a bouncing ball, guys, remember that. Another shot of something moving towards camera, perfectly mirroring the first shot before. Great bit of editing there. And then we've got Raph reacting. Perfectly marries these 2 shots together, everything coming towards camera, and then we've got a reaction as he jumps straight back. Look at that stretch on the face, so cool. Now this shot's nice. I love that hand drawn effect as the Psy impacts the box. Now look at this, these 2 things move in reaction as well. Think about this when you're animating, it's not just one thing that moves, it's the reaction to the rest of the world around it that really sells the animation. And look at this, straight into the leg. I love the pause at this, it's really funny. Even as the camera pans up to his face, he's still unsure as to what to do, and then he realizes and lets out that massive scream. You can tell how big it is because of those lines coming straight out of his mouth. A great addition to an amazing pose. Now look at that line boiling as well on the knife, drawing the audience's eye towards that knife. And look at the silhouette, look at the lines, everything's pointing towards that. The lines on the swords, the lines on the sai, and look at Leo's reaction. Squash in, eyes extend, massive, massive reaction. Such a nice piece of animation. Now this is the last shot in the trailer, and you can see just by the way that turtles are standing, the staging in this scene, everything's pointing towards Leo, further showing how much of a leader he is. If we go through frame by frame in this conversation, we see Raph starts talking, then Leo, then Donnie, then Mikey right at the end. This is a great way to direct the viewer's attention. In kind of a complex dialogue scene, the dialogue goes from right to left in a very normal and natural fashion. It's such a great scene to end an amazing trailer.
And that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think I should react to next. Make sure to subscribe to see new videos like this drop every week, and I'll see you next time.